Hi everybody, welcome to class today. Today we have a tension release session with the balls from your kit bag. It's unsuitable for pregnancy, so I've got my dear friend Verity here with us today to be my body. The balls are going to be, we're going to use them in the back of the pelvis and through the shoulder blades to release off things like sciatic pain, lower back pain, tension and tightness just in the lower back, and also through the shoulders, neck, and sort of the upper spine area. So we'll start, actually just have a soft pillow handy, so just a small one off the couch or the bed, or even a bit of fabric just to prop your head up. We're going to need that in a little bit. So have that handy, and let's take your balls out. So your 2 green balls that you got in your kit bag, we're going to take them out and we're going to place them. We're going to start with the pelvis today. So we're going to place them underneath the pelvis, not on the lower back, but the top part of the pelvis. So lifting the hips up and placing the balls under, really nice and even. And definitely not on like the fleshy part of your glutes or of your bum. So you want to be on the top part of your bum, but not the lower back. And definitely not on the bones of your sacrum. So you just want to be sort of on the flesh. How does that feel?
Yeah, that's comfortable.
It's good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so we're just starting in a neutral position. So neutral is where your belly button and your pubic bone are level. And the feet should be hip distance apart roughly. And we'll just start with 3 deep breaths, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And we're going to use the exhale just to go heavy into the balls. So the balls work best when they've got as much weight in them as possible. So let's begin, everybody. We'll start with an inhale through the nose, fill up the trunk with the inhale, and a nice heavy exhale just to let go. And inhale again. Nice. And just letting go, let the floor, let the balls take your weight. One more time. We're going to start with an exercise called Pelvic Clocks. It's designed to mobilize the joints of the pelvis and the lower back. And the balls are just going to passively do their thing for you as we move. So we'll start with a 12 o'clock on the belly button, 6 o'clock on the pubic bone. So that's your axis point. And we're going to start to tip towards the 12 o'clock, so where the pelvis curls towards you. And then we're going to send the pelvis away to 6 o'clock, perfect, where the pelvis tips away from you. And we're just going to go back and forth between the 12 and the 6. And really keeping it to the area of the pelvis. So just noticing how much rib movement you're getting. Perfect. And leg movement. And we just want to make sure that we're not over-activating anything. So I'm watching here for Verity to see if there's any clenching happening in her abdominals at the front, any over-activation in her thighs, in the front or the back, and even the glutes. So soft as possible as you're doing these. So most of you will probably be here today because of tension and tightness that's crept in. And so we actually want to try to dispel that by not overworking the bigger global muscles, so actually teaching them to soften off. And by doing that, it allows the deeper muscles in the lower trunk to activate and actually support the trunk. It's really nice. So we'll just do a few repetitions here, and we're looking to create a really lovely smooth texture to the movement. And if you're feeling like it's a little bit clunky, it's okay. You just want to work to slowly smoothen it out. Let's do 5 more. Keeping really soft in the ribs. And also just noticing any tension that might be building in your jaw or your throat, your shoulders at the front, so super soft through there. Let's do 3 more. You could also work to get a bit of width, so a bit of a widening now as Verity's going down to 6 o'clock, getting some width of the pelvis, and then narrowing to come up, so there's sort of like a 3-dimensional movement to it as well. Let's do 2. And 1. And then we're just resting to neutral. So staying neutral in between. How the ball's feeling there?
Yeah, they're fine.
Great. If you're feeling uncomfortable on the balls, you could always adjust them slightly, or take them out, take a quick break and put them back under. But we're going to go from 12 and 6 to 3 and 9. So 3's on the left hip and 9's on the right hip. And so we're going to rock from side to side this time. So it's a rotation of the lower back and the pelvis. It's naturally very small. So I'm going to put my hands on Verity's hips just to start. And so we'll go down to 3 o'clock where the left hip drops down, and then 9 o'clock where the right hip drops down. 3, 9. And again, we're looking for a really smooth, controlled movement. The legs fairly still. It's like your pelvis is, you've got 2 sides to your pelvis, and it's each dish almost underneath your legs. You want to be sort of moving from underneath the legs. And you can also put your hands on your hip bones just to feel what's happening underneath. That's it. Just like we did with the 12 and the 6, so nice and soft in the upper body and the chest, the throat, the jaw, the legs, and we're really just trying to mobilize the pelvis and wake up the muscles that sit quite deep in the core there. And also just watching out on these for a swivel. So you don't want to end up hip hiking to get to the 3 and the 9. It's more of an up and down or rotation. That's it. And so because the balls are just under there passively releasing for you, they release nerves, fascia and muscle, you want to try to stay weighted down in them and also not rush the movement. So we're really looking for precision with these and just working what's necessary. And when that happens, you start to see deep oblique muscles kicking in a little bit, just what's necessary to move the pelvis in this direction. How's that?
Yeah, good.
Let's go for 6 more, everyone. Watch out for clenching of the glutes. The breath is just constant. I'm not going to cue too much breath in this video because there's a lot of focus going on anyway. Just watch out for holding the breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. But nothing too intense on the breathing. Just keep it constant and just watch out for holding. Let's do 2. 1. And then resting in neutral again. So the 12 and the 6, the 3 and the 9 are all level. You could rest a champagne glass on there perfectly without it spilling. And then from here, what we're going to do is combine the 12, 3, 6 and 9 and start to turn it into a full clock, really smooth and even. So starting from neutral, and we're going to curl back to the 12, come around to the 3, down to 6, over to 9, and circulating up to 12, 3, 6, 9, 12, 3, 6, 9. Fabulous. Keep going there. And so we're thinking of all the same things. Nothing needs to change. We're just adding in a bit of complexity. Legs fairly still. Remember, the pelvis is like they're like 2 dishes. It's like you're moving the pelvis from under the leg bones. Soft chest, throat, jaw. It doesn't have to be a big movement. We're really looking for precision. And if you get lost with it at any point, it's totally fine. You just stop, recalibrate, come back to your neutral where you know you can rest your champagne glass, and then start again. And you want it to be as even as possible. So just noticing, am I able to go down to my left more than my right, or vice versa? And just kind of tuning in and just getting to know what feels really nice or what's feeling a little bit stuck or not quite as moving well. If you've got a side that's not moving as well, go slower through that and teach it to soften off. And then if you feel up for it, you can start to go around the clock face. Instead of doing the 4 digits, the 12, 3, 6 and 9, you can start to sort of smudge it into 1 and go through every digit. That's it. Nice and smooth. That's it. So you're at max speed there, Verity. I wouldn't go any faster. It's fine. But you want to get it really nice. It's like you're massaging it out. Be really lovely as you're going around. That's it. Deep and smooth. Let's do 3 more, everyone, and then we're going to reverse. The breath constant, but not too intense. 2. Let's get a little bit more to your 9 o'clock, so over to that hip. Yeah. Last 1. And then we're going to go back the other way. So we can reverse, we could go back to neutral, recalibrate, and then come back to the 12, and then go around to the 9. Perfect. 6, 3, 9, 12, 9, 6, 3. That's it. And just watching for leg swaying. So I'd bring that right leg in a little bit there. Yep. And it's always that one side feels a bit more clunky than the other. One side feels a bit more smooth. And then if you're ready, you can start to smudge it into one lush circle. Very nice. And so just checking in as you're going, how are my glutes going? Is my butt squeezing on? Can I let that go at all? Are my abs okay? Are they nice and soft, or am I tensing up? Throat, jaw. Really good. We can do 5 here, everyone. How you going?
Yeah, all good.
Let's do 2. And last one. Good, and just resting in neutral from there. If you feel like you need to take the balls out for a moment and just shake your pelvis off, go for it. Totally fine. How's that?
That feels nice.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's often that you might feel quite heavy through the pelvis afterwards in the floor, or light, just depends on your body, but they're the 2 feelings that you might get. A sense of like release, basically. So we're going to now come into, so that's more of a mobilizing exercise for the lower back and pelvis. We're going to come into a bit of a core exercise now to sort of bring things together and protect the pelvis and the lower back. So the balls can go back underneath. Perfect. And then from here, let's all put our hands on our hip bones so we can feel what's going on. So this is now about keeping the pelvis still. Not braced, but still. So the 12 and the 6 and the 3 and the 9, we can use them now as sort of access points for stability or mobility. We're going to use it for stability. So these 4 points stay perfectly still. You've got your champagne glass resting on there, your imaginary champagne glass, and without any movement of your hands or your hips underneath your hands, we're going to lift one leg up to tabletop position. So when you're ready, lift the leg up. It's where the knee stops on the hip, and then you're going to bring the leg back down using the back of the thigh down. And And then without any shake of the pelvis, you're going to lift the back of the opposite leg and lift it up. Good. Just focusing on keeping the trunk really still. The weight of the pelvis is going to be in the balls, which the balls are just going to be releasing as you go. Really nice. When you step down into that leg, keeping the stabilizing leg in line with the hip bone. So we're not having a flare out of the knee at all. So the right leg of Verity right now stays in line with the right hip. Perfect. You can keep the big toe down on the stabilizing foot. Good. And just watching for holding breath. So it is quite nice to do an exhale up and an inhale down, but don't get caught on the breath. As long as it's constant, it's okay. Especially if you're really new to this, you can bring in the breath later on. Really nice. And just noticing if your shoulders, you've got one shoulder that wants to help out maybe. If there's any clenching in the upper body, trying to let all of that go. And we're training the deeper muscles through this area here, through the base of the pelvis, the pelvic floor, the transverse abdominals to kick on, and all the other stuff that overcompensates to switch off. It's just slow movement. Let's do 6. Very good. And smooth movement. Verity's doing really good. It's very normal though, especially if you're new to it, to have slightly clunky, a slight clunkiness to the leg moving in the socket. So you want to try to, just like with your pelvic clocks, smooth leg lift, smooth release out. Let's do one more each side. And we're going to hold on the last leg. Keep it at tabletop. We're going to do a breath. We'll do a breath in to prepare. A breath out to lift the opposite leg up. So both legs are coming up. Fabulous. And then from here, we're going to place one foot down. So you're going to arc one leg away. The toes tap on the mat. And then you lift the leg back up. And then to the other side. Down. Lift the leg up. Really nice to work from the back of the thigh. So the back of the thigh slides down to bring the leg down. The back of the thigh lifts up to bring the leg up. So we're taking the emphasis out of the hip flexors in the front, which tend to grip quite a lot. Bring it into the back of the leg. And the ideal breath on this, again, don't worry if you can't get it perfect today, is an exhale down and inhale up. Exhale down, inhale up. You've got 4 more in you. Let's do 4. 3, finish at the top. 2. And 1. Good. One leg goes down, other leg goes down, and then you can relax off there. Nice. You all right?
Good.
Nice. So we're going to take the balls out, feel the pelvis there on the floor, and then we're going to come up to bring the balls in between the shoulder blades and start to do some release for the upper back. So for your arm circles, let's move you down the mat just a little bit. So feet to the end, just so we've got enough room. And so now is when you want to take your cushion or your bit of fabric just to prop the head up. So cushion goes underneath, and the balls too. So the balls come together so they're touching, and just roll up. So the balls sort of come in front of the cushion. I'm placing them for Verity. And you want to lay back down and just sort of have them in between the shoulder blades. Not too high, not too low, but you'll know best where to put them. You can jiggle around a little bit and just, they should be fairly comfy, but if you have got knots or tightness back there, you might just feel them a little bit digging in. Is it okay?
Yeah.
You comfy there? Mm-hmm. So we're going to go for some big arm circles. I'm just going to move back a little bit so I'm not in Verity's way. So from here, we're going to take a big breath in, reach the arms up towards the ceiling, overhead, and then out to the side walls. That's it. And continue through. Inhale up, in through the nose, out through the mouth. And you can really go large on these ones. You want to try to touch the ceiling, touch the wall above you, touch the side walls, go for a big reach out. And it's as if your arms are an extension of your collarbones going wide, right from the chest. Lovely. Good. And you're getting a sense of a reach of the armpits upwards, and then you want a connection down, armpits downwards, to bring the arms down. So the stretch of the side body, and they shoot out, and there's an activation downwards of the side body. Amazing. And again, just checking for any unnecessary tension in the pecs, in the chest, in the throat, jaw. You can let the chest bone drop on the side out. Good. So the chest can drop also from the jaw. And we just keep going until we notice a change. People often ask, how many should I do? And it really depends on the person. I don't like to dictate how many to do, because how do we know? We just do enough to see a change. We're looking for the shoulders to drop back a little bit, for softening to happen in the throat and the chest. The head sort of sinks into the pillow a bit. When you start to notice a softening, maybe you want to do 5 more from there. Depends on how tight you are. And also just maintaining the heaviness of the body, so the pelvis, the feet, the back of the rib cage, just really staying weighted into the balls. Lovely. Big reach up. It's like the ribs are widening away from each other. A real lovely sense of width with this one. Let's do 5 more from here. Nice. Let's do 4 more. Good, and so the arms start to just move more smoothly in the sockets. It's improved movement. There's less clunkiness. The quality just starts to improve. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And then relaxing the arms there by your sides and just taking a moment to see if there's been a change. So hopefully the shoulders just open out a little bit. There's a sense of them falling back, a sense of the heaviness of the head, and also very normal for the chin to start to poke up a little bit because there's been a release. So Verity's had quite a lot of release through the front there. From here we're going to come up, we're going to do 1 more release exercise for the day. And that's placing the balls just sort of to the back of the armpits to release off through around the shoulder blade area. So what we're going to do, we'll come up and we just need 1 ball for this. So I'll take 1 ball away and pass 1 to you, and we'll face the camera. The pillow or the bit of fabric that's going to support your head goes in between your ear and your arm. So coming down and just putting it in there nicely so you've got support for your head. And again, there's no right or wrong with where to put the ball. You'll know if it's on too much bone, it won't feel too comfortable. Because the balls are soft, it is safe for a bit of bone, but you want to be sort of the back of the shoulder blade, the back of the armpit, I should say, front of the shoulder blade. Sometimes it can help when I've been with clients in the past to just do a little rotation backwards, and you might find a nice edge there, or not, or you might prefer to be completely stacked up. What's best for you, Verity?
I think maybe stacked.
Stacked, okay. So Verity's going to stack up, but find where you've got any little bits and pieces to get into there. The hips are fairly stacked, so hip bones one on top of the other, but fairly comfortable, knees bent, and they're stacked up as well. And all we're going to do here is relax into the ball. So just allowing the ball and the floor to take all of our weight. You want to make sure that your head's not sort of falling too much on your arms. This pillow is actually quite perfect for the alignment of Verity's head. In the past, if I've had a jumper, I've really had to roll it up and kind of put it right in the nook, just to make sure my head's not sort of too flopped off. And just taking the time. Sometimes with these balls it does take a little bit of patience just to wait and let the body weight go heavier, and it's sort of like a kind of resonates out. You get like a subsiding of the fascia and the muscles. And you can tell when something's changing, when maybe it was quite sore or a little bit sore even to be on that area, but then you notice it the tension releasing and it doesn't feel sore anymore. That's when you know you've had enough. And just breathing normally. And very easy on these sorts of ones when you're not moving too much to start to think about other things outside of your body, dinner, food shop, I don't know, daily chores. But try to stay with your body, try to stay with this area that you're releasing, and just notice what's changing. Notice if there's nothing changing. Think about what you want to change. Maybe I'd like more release in this area. So with your mind, just think about it. Release into it more. We're doing a roughly a half an hour video today, but sometimes we can do a whole hour session on these balls because it takes a little while to release off. So no rush. Are you starting to lose your hand a little bit?
No, it's fine.
Okay. If you are starting to lose your bottom hand, you can come up and shake it off and come back into the position. We're just going to do another minute or two here, and then we'll swap sides. It can be common to not feel much to begin with. And I've had clients sort of say they can't feel anything, but lo and behold, five minutes later, the tissue actually starts to let go, and then the release starts to kick in. So just a bit of patience on this one. You all right there?
Yeah.
Just like with the pelvis and the mid-back, you start to get a sense of sinking. We're just going to do one spot today for the sake of time, but you can always move the ball up a little bit or down a little bit or rotate to find other little niggles, little knots in that area. But it's an amazing release for the shoulder, so it stops the shoulder from pulling and dragging your posture down. It kind of lifts everything up and gives a sense of width and lightness to your posture. Has a huge knock-on effect for your for jaw pain, neck release. It's amazing for your posture, basically. That's it. You can start to see, with a trained eye anyway, there's some release happening through her shoulder blades here. It's very subtle stuff. But there's letting go. Okay, 2 more breaths. One more. Nice. It's important to come off these quite slowly. So come up however you like, however you see fit, most comfortable for you. You can shake that arm off if you feel like you need to. You right?
Yep.
Good. Other side. So here, I'll pass you the ball. Pillow in between ear and arm, so your head's supported. That's it. A little bit of a moment to just find where it's going to fit best, that ball. You'll know the spot when you find it. That's it. Pillow nice and supported. Really make sure that your head's not hanging there. It's quite supported by the pillow. Your shoulders can be stacked, or you might like to rotate backwards a little bit just to get into the right spot. I think, Verity, you're good there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hips stacked on top of each other, knees bent on top of each other. And just really melting into the ball. And just letting go, practice actually, letting go of the tension. It's a work of art in itself while you're lying there. Yeah. What are my shoulders doing? What's my jaw doing? My hands even, let go of the hands, the feet. Just notice how much tension we're holding. It's nice. And just notice if your mind's wandering off to something outside of the body, bring it back in. If it does get a little bit intense, focus on your breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can use that to anchor you a little bit. Nice. And so before we finish, I'd just like to mention that you may have, because of the acupressure cups on the balls, what they're designed to do is bring blood flow to the area of the body that we're releasing. And so you might end up with little cupping marks from today on the back of your pelvis or between your shoulder blades, or even just at the back of your armpits. It's a really healthy sign that there's been a release. Those marks will last maximum up to about 3 days. So don't worry, they will go. It's just like it's as if you've had some cupping done. They'll disappear, and it's a really great sign that there's been some invigoration and blood flow to the area. How's that feeling?
Yeah, you can feel the release.
Okay. This area is such a culprit for neck pain and sort of tightness and sort of disharmony in between the shoulder blades. Releasing this area, it's a real sort of gem. It's one that I've kept in my toolbox for years and years, and just released off whenever my neck's feeling tight or I need to sort of do some postural work, some shoulder blade release. This armpit area is just fantastic for that. Let's do 3 more breaths. 3 more. 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 3 more One more. And then remembering just when you're coming up off this that you take your time, slowly come up. You can shake your arm off, and it might be quite nice to have a moment just before you get up too quickly. Because we've done loads of release, definitely drink loads of water for the rest of today. Flush out any toxins or anything that we don't need, get rid of it. And just take note of how your body feels today, and enjoy. You can do this daily if you like, or even once a week's enough, but daily it wouldn't harm you either. Hopefully you're nice and up straight like Verity, with lovely wide shoulders, and you feel fantastic for the rest of the day. Thanks everyone.